Hey, what's going on, guys? Pete with Auto Repair Tips. In this video, I'm working on a 2010 Chevy Camaro. Customer's complaint was driving along, check engine light came on, and the car started to misfire. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take this car for a test drive, then we'll get it back in the shop and throw the scanner on it. Let's see what it's doing. All right, guys, let's get into the video. Guys, if you're a motorhead like me and you love working on your own car, you found the right channel. Consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. All right, let's get into the video. All right, guys, we just got back from our test drive and we confirmed the check engine light. There are 4 codes in here, a P0300, a P0305, a P0008, and a P1380. The 2 codes I'm going to be concerned with is the 305 and the 008. This one here is probably going to be an ignition coil or a spark plug, so I'll pull and check that out. This one here is your camshaft position sensor, and I hooked the scanner to it and took it on a test drive. Watch the sensor work. I noticed it glitching a little bit. So I came back and checked it. It does have the correct bolts going to it. If you look at the schematic, this car has 4 camshaft position sensors. The one we're going to be working on is bank 1. Looking at the engine, bank 1 is on the passenger side, the right side of the car. The right side of the car is always the passenger side. The left side of the car is always the driver's side. This one has 3 sensors going across the upper camshaft. This is going to be a camshaft position sensor. This is going to be a camshaft position sensor. One is intake side and one is exhaust side. The middle sensor is a camshaft position actuator solenoid valve. This one is doing fine. All 4 camshaft position sensors are exactly the same on this car. And they're really easy to get to. Each one is held on with a 10mm bolt. And to get to this one, you have to remove the bracket right here, which is held on with a 10mm bolt. So let's go ahead and get them removed, and let's look at the sensors. To remove the outside camshaft position sensor, you're gonna need a swivel. It's a 10mm extension and a ratchet. That's the size of the bolt right there. It's kind of long. It really doesn't need to be that long, but it's an overkill. I get it. And to remove the sensor, you're gonna need to pull on it. It's gonna be stuck in there a little bit because there's an O-ring on it. Once you get it up, you're gonna see a clip. You're gonna depress the clip and remove the sensor. And that's what the sensor looks like. Again, it's gonna be in there for a while. This O-ring is gonna kind of be stuck, so you're gonna need to tug on it. Just be careful, don't break it off in there. Now we need to remove the bracket. This bracket goes from the intake to the bottom of the head. Make sure you don't get your bolts confused because they're definitely different sizes. This is the bracket that's going to be removed, and these are the 2 bolts to the bracket. The inside camshaft position sensor gets removed the same way. And again, it's got another one of these long bolts in it. Once you get it off, again, you're going to squeeze the clip, and this bad boy is stuck on there. Good Lord. There you go. All right, we're going to get the 2 camshaft sensors done, and then we're going to move on to the coil pack on the back side of the engine. The other code that came up was a number 5 code. And again, if you're looking at the car, this is the front of the vehicle here. 1357 are on the right side, 2468 is on the left side. Number 5 is the problem coil. One of the common causes of a misfire on these engines, there's an O-ring that sits around where the coil is, and sometimes that O-ring will start seeping oil and it'll fill up in the cylinder, cause that misfire. If I pull that coil out and there's no oil down inside that valley, we're gonna replace the coil because it's glitching also. All right, now we gotta get some parts here and we'll get them on the car. All right, guys, we just got the parts in. This is the coil. This is the camshaft sensor. I'll put links in the description below to the parts that we use on this car. Anytime you purchase anything through one of those links, a small portion helps the channel, and I appreciate that. All right guys, let's go ahead and get these installed. But there's an O-ring here. It's always nice to get a little bit of grease, put it around the O-ring. It helps slides in better so you don't take a chance on tearing it. It's just a little bit. You take the grease, go around like that, slide it in. Make sure you start the bolts by hand. I apologize for the excessive noise, but my guy's working on a 67 Monterey that we're restoring. So go up as far as you can by hand. Don't over tighten it, just tighten it up to it snug. Snap the clip on. Make sure when you put that on there, you hear it click in place. Some people make the mistake, they don't hear it click, and they just push it down because it's tight. And then when they're driving along, that'll bounce off. Let's go ahead and get the bracket back on. When you're putting your bracket on, start your top bolt, leave it loose. This way you can wiggle around and get the bottom one on there. Once you get them both started, then tighten them up. Once we get this bracket tightened up, we're gonna move on to the coil pack. I think there's one thing that's gotta be moved out of the way before we can get to it. All right, don't over tighten these. Just snug them down. So let's take a second and let's look at this coil pack and let's see what we gotta do. So this is 1, 3, and 5. Let's go ahead and get this cover out of the way. There's 2 clips, one here and one on the other side. We'll get those clips out and remove the cover. The number 5 coil pack is located under the solenoid. To remove it, there's a number 10 bolt right here. After you get that bolt out, just move the solenoid aside, take a number 10 on the extension, and loosen the bolt up that holds that coil back in. This is what the bolt looks like that holds that coil pack on. There's a clip right here, push it down and remove the connector. So looking down inside here, the coil pack looks good. I don't see it cracked anywhere. I don't see any oil residue around the boot, so we know that the seal's not leaking. If I put my hand right here, you can feel it. There's nothing leaking down in there. So probably it was just starting to go out and glitching is why we had the reading. Every once in a while would misfire. But while I'm down this far, I'm just gonna pull the plug out and take a look at it. Did you look and see what the life was supposed to be on these plugs? I was just curious how close we are to the end. Because you said there's 70,000 miles on the car. Figured while it was glitching, just look at it and see, maybe getting bad. Yeah, it looks good. Your new coil pack should come with a bolt, and just when you put everything back together, it's just reverse procedure. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed, clear the codes, take it for a test drive, and let's see what we got. All right guys, we're on our test drive. This thing drives amazing. No more misfire on the number 5 cylinder. Camshaft position sensors look like they're reading good. All right. Nice. All right guys, that is it for this video. This job is done. I appreciate you watching. Catch you later.